Hello, and welcome back to another episode of City Sim Builds. And we're continuing today with our new town in Two Rivers County. And in the last episode, we had upgraded the Two Rivers Lumber Company to a level 3, which was very exciting. We also went through and upgraded some of the roads within the town here, and we still need a name for the town. I'm not sure what to name it. Maybe that'd be something great if you could leave that down in the comments down below. But if I don't get any feedback on that, I might just choose a name for the next episode. But a couple things. First of all, you might see I have a lot of money here compared to when we looked at the game last time. And that's because I accidentally left the game running in the background for about an hour. So luckily nothing really changed drastically. Things are pretty much the same. We still have the same issues that we need to fix, such as the fire situation, fire coverage. And everything else seems to be fine. There's a couple abandonments, but especially up here in the industrial area, which I was expecting that as this grows, the Two Rivers Company, the Two Rivers Lumber Company grows. So the other big thing is that I had an update for the game, and it has messed with a lot of my mods, such as the network multi-tool, network anarchy. My districts are acting weird. I don't really know what. Okay, I think this might be actually okay. I lost some of my styles here, but it looks like we can still go in and do policies and things like that, which we might do this episode. But I think the goal for today is I want to explore over here, since we have some additional money that I wasn't really expecting on. I'm thinking of adding a new interchange over here and getting started with our ore industry. So with that, let's jump right into the episode. Okay, so I think I want to take a look at the interchange area first. So whenever you place an interchange in real life, especially on a highway, like an interstate, you need proper spacing. And that's something that is commonly done now. That wasn't done, say, in the 1960s or the 1970s. During those times, you were placing interchanges very close to each other, especially in dense urban areas. But even in rural areas, you might see an interchange next to another one. And that was not good practice. You really want, especially in rural areas, about 2 miles away. And luckily for us, I think this is a good spot right in here, because you're coming around a curve here, and you have a nice straight section with, it looks like plenty of, it's not super flat, but it's not up here by any means, but it's not too bad. And also, if you look this way, you're coming off a milder curve section. So I think this is a great spot for a small interchange, and I think what we're going to do is have it connect up here and then come across and connect through here. Because if you remember, let's go to our districts. We have our ore industry that can go right here, and then we have our existing Two Rivers Lumber Company. So I think this would be a great spot to sneak it through. And the other thing I'm thinking about doing is limiting the vehicular restrictions on this in the future. I don't think I can do that now with the current mod issue I have, but leaving that to just trucks and freight, things like that. So that way your typical vehicles, such as your single occupancy vehicles that make up the majority of the network, they can come over here. So some of these trucks, like this guy, if I can pause and quickly, it's going to the sawdust storage over here. So I'm trying to limit some of that usage through the town and over here to the Two Rivers Lumber Company, and eventually to our ore industry. So let's get started with building a quick little interchange over here. And this is something I really want to modify over time, especially as I get my mods set up back to where it was working before. But we're going to kind of roll with it for now. And so we'll come across and we're going to make a nice connection like that. And I think I messed up on this side a little bit. So let's go back. we'll get back to, we're gonna redo this. Okay, so we're gonna start here in the middle. We're gonna come out, let's say to here. And I also lost my unit counter, which is not fun. Okay, but so I think I'm going to come there. Okay, then I'll come on this side, and we'll just go to those snaps there. And from here, I'm going to drop down, and we'll go down to the most minimal connection there, so we can be at grade. And let's take a look at how we're going to tie this in a little bit more closely. So we have our rail line through here, and then we have our district boundary for the forestry, and then the ore. So our road is right here. So I'm thinking of connecting it down, having an at-grade crossing somewhere here close to a 90, because you really want your at-grade rail crossings to be as close to a 90 for proper sight distance. When you have angles like that, and angles in general within the transportation system are generally not good unless you're connecting systems to systems, like a highway ramp to a highway. So what I want to do is bring that connection from up here down over here, and I think we'll connect it to this road over here. We'll have, let's see, I might do a bridge on this side, or tunnel depending on the terrain, but I think over here I'll keep it an at-grade connection. So let's do that. So maybe I'll start over here and extend this. I might, let's see if we can get this connected up closer to a 90. Let's zoom in, shall we? So I'll come off here at a 90. Nope, I want to be a little further south, I think. So maybe somewhere in here. And we'll back it up a little bit. And then we're going to make a nice connection over here, like that. And then let's come over here and bring this further down. And again, I really want to slope this, but I can't do that right now. So I'm going to kind of roll with it right as best I can. So let's take a look at the terrain here. It's actually pretty flat, so I'm going to go for a grade separated bridge. So we'll extend this up. Actually, let's start with our bridge first. So we'll get our guidelines connected here. We'll come across and try to match it up evenly as possible, and then we'll bring that down there. And then we'll do the same thing on this side. And generally it's cheaper to, oh gosh, that's a lot of slope there. But you know, you might look at this and say it might be easier to cut it across like that, and especially if you're building a structure that is fully in the air like this, and you're not doing a lot of like fill, like earthwork to bring up this side, which I can't really do, I don't think, at this point in time. You really want to make the structure as straight as possible, because when you add curvature in a structure, it adds a lot of cost and complexity. So I think that is going to be good for now. And then now I want to make a connection that ties this in over here. So I think what I'll do is extend this roadway, and let's follow some of the terrain here. So I might use my freeform tool, bring it in, follow this, and then do something like that. And then this is going to have to be a little bit of a tighter curve, and I might use just the curve tool for this so it can be a little bit more sweeping. Is it going to snap to that guideline? No, it's not. So let's bring this out a little bit more, something like, freeform row tool. Let's bring that out, something like that. Because there are going to be a lot of trucks and freight through here. So I want to have this curve be more gentle. Something where, you know, the trucks aren't going to have an issue with the turn. And, you know, in real life, you know, if this was too sharp, you know, the trucks would go onto the shoulder. And realistically, having this lighting here is probably not the best, but we're just going to use this for now. It's not that expensive of a road, and we can upgrade it later. So let's go back over here and we'll work on our ramps. And I'm just gonna do, I think, a simple diamond interchange over here. There are many different kinds of interchanges. This is one where you see this pretty much everywhere across the United States. So I'm gonna come over here and place that, and then we'll try to match this up as best we can. Tie that in there. That's looking pretty good. I really want to go through and adjust these slopes, but I'm going to leave it like that just for now, since I don't have the network multi-tool that I really need. So, but I think also we can so TMPE has been working for me, so I think we should be able to go through and place some vehicular restrictions for this. Oh no, I don't want to do that. So maybe what I can do is set this to, we'll leave on emergency services. We'll take off taxis, transit, and personal vehicles. And that way, whenever we start to build our ore industry over here, it's not going to cause a lot of issue. And as you can see, we already have some freight taking this route over here, which is just what we wanted. So let's speed this up a little bit and see what this does for the traffic and see what takes place here. Okay, and that's looking pretty good. Let's slow things down. Maybe go to like level 2. So we have a lot of money to work with, thanks to my error of just like leaving the game on in the background. Let's take a quick look at our forestry industry before we move on to the rest of today's episode. We are having no issues today. We're doing pretty well. The only thing I notice here is output tonnage for paper is we're not really making a profit with that. So, and we're still, sorry, I closed it out. So we're still producing or exporting 64 tons, and 7 and 10 are going into the paper and planted timber. Sorry, I keep saying planted timber, planed timber. And we're only making $72. Actually, we do have some issues here. So let's go into some of our, policies. We'll do improved logistics, and we'll do advanced automation. And we'll come back to worker safety here later on and see if that helps with some of the profit that we're not really retaining in this area. So we do have high residential demand. I think I am going to extend this out, and I want to be thoughtful about how this takes place, because eventually we're going to have a larger city over here. And what I'm thinking is having a bridge going across and using, maybe what I'll do is I'll create a road that's not part of the grid network, but a side over here that tees into this one, comes over here, and goes off towards the larger city that we're going to be planning later. So I think I'm going to do that now, because that will help dictate how far we want this grid to extend out and how we want this area to look. So let's get that in place. And real quick here, I think I'm going to use a 2-lane highway for this, because eventually I want to upgrade this road as it leads back up to the main highway to be a 2-lane highway. And I might actually just go ahead and do that now that I'm speaking that out loud. We'll speak it into existence. So that'll increase our vehicular speeds through here and just be kind of a more proper connection into town. And what I'm thinking here, instead of having this curve this way, is I'm going to remove this roadway segment and have this actually continue on and then tee this up into a 3-way intersection. So, but before we do that, let's keep the existing trajectory of this road, and we'll build it off this way. And I think what I'm going to do here is go ahead and do some pre-grading for this. So we'll grab this elevation and we'll kind of just gently, let's increase the brush strength. We'll we'll gently create a cut section through here. Well, that was not so gently, but that's fine. And sometimes you see this like when you build a highway, the cut sections will be like a 2-to-1 slope, and it's kind of drastic, and this just might be one of those areas where we have to do that. So I'm just gonna kind of go through here, maybe make this a little less dramatic, and then get this back to a pre-grade, and then I'm gonna extend this over here with a new bridge. So let's grab this, do that. There we go. It's looking pretty good. I'll grab this height over here, and then I'm gonna look back this way, and I'm gonna raise the road over here to be a little bit more realistic. Even though this is a large fill section, we're gonna smooth it out here in a minute. And then I'm gonna use the slope terrain tool to bring this down. Goodness, I was having a time with that. I had temporarily forgotten how to use that tool, which was kind of silly. So let's soften the terrain up here a little bit. So we'll raise this up so it's not so drastic. This is pretty intense, though. I'm not gonna lie. We'll just kind of increase this through here, so it's not as intense. So okay, that's not too terrible. And then we're gonna even this out up here at the top for kind of like our landing surface. Actually might do this, get rid of that like ugly nub. Okay. All right, so let's create the bridge across. Since we have the money, might as well, right? So we'll come through, add a connection there, bring this across. I really don't want some sort of suspension bridge if I can avoid it. There, because I just don't really feel like that fits the aesthetic of what I'm going for. When I think a suspension bridge, I think something that's going to span a larger body of water, like actually maybe something like this, like where if we were truly going from this side to this side, where it's maybe like a half mile or more, maybe that would be a suspension bridge location. But that's looking pretty good. I might do a little bit more earthwork there, but we're not going to really focus on that too much. But I'm going to take some time here and extend out the grid, and I might add some deviations in the grid here just for fun. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start off with like continuing this river road, and maybe we'll call this River Street. And then I'm going to see how that deviation as we curve along here might affect the grid, and see if it will add some nice complexities there. So and as I'm thinking about this, I don't think I'm going to do that. I might leave this how it is, because when you have a lot of junctions like this, especially with like curves and everything, you don't want to place access so close to where you might have a more major intersection. So I think I might leave this how it is and just have a little bit of open space right there. And maybe this might be a good spot for like a park. So what if let's take a look at our roadway network. So this does dead end here, so it's not like a true through, I guess, collector through the town. So maybe we kind of mirror that on this side, and we could place a park here. And this I'm going to bring back around so it ties in. And my angles are not on too, which is really, really frustrating. But let's go ahead and tie this up to this road. Ooh, and there's not really a good way to do this. I think I'm gonna have to just modify this later on when the network multi-tool is functioning for me. So let's just do this and bring it up close to a 90. Okay, then I'm gonna finish off this section here. Maybe here, try to like line this up with the previous, might continue this on, just so I can get the guideline. And then we'll connect it back up here, and then I'll remove this. But maybe at one point there was a road there, but they, the town council decided to get rid of it and, create this park. Because maybe there wasn't a lot of development there or something like that. I don't know, just kind of, brainstorming some hypothetical scenarios, but that's not good. That's no bueno. So let's go in at, and we'll come here, that, then we'll do a better connection with the curve road tool. Guideline, that's okay. I'm not loving that all that much, but it's not terrible. But yeah, so I think what I'll do is I'll continue our commercial along the river to about where the park is. Again, about 3 units deep. And it gets kind of wonky in here with the elevation changes and everything and how it's affecting zoning. So I might just go through and modify this like that. And might add a little bit more here. Through here. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And I'll add one little spot there, and I think that should be good for now. So before we zone the residential, which is going to take off, we need to do water pipes, but let's take a look at our city services to make sure we're not missing anything. So education, we're doing pretty well right now. In terms of our elementary school, high school, we're doing great. So we can place a university. I think that might be a great idea to go ahead and take care of that. But unfortunately, we haven't unlocked that yet. So that's something we're going to have to do later down the road. And maybe what we can do is preserve some of this area up here. I think that'd be a great spot, even though it's next to the cemetery. I think that, something along in here, the train's not too bad. I think it'd be a good spot for that. But, so let's take a look at, so did we place a public library? We did. Okay, great. So healthcare, how are we doing? We could use maybe one more additional health clinic. So let's put that over here on this side of town. And we'll place that maybe there. I think that's a good spot for that. Some interesting roadway network changes here caused by the curvature of the road, which I like. Let's take a look at death care. Okay, I think we're doing pretty good there. Cemetery usage is 19%. What about a sports hall and gymnasium? I think that would help go a long way. And I'm gonna place this a little bit off. Ooh, I don't know if I like that location with that grading. Okay, we'll go in and soften the terrain some around that. I mean, this sometimes happens in these sorts of situations when you build into the hillside like that, as I've said before, but that's not terrible. We'll live with it. I think the biggest thing we needed was fire coverage. That always seems to be the biggest draw. And I'm gonna place this closer down here, and I'm gonna go ahead and preemptively place one up here. And I think that should be good. Police coverage always seems to go really far. We're fine in our jail capacity, and the crime rate is very low, so we're not going to worry about that right now. Garbage. How is our garbage processing status? So our landfill usage is 69%, and maybe what we'll do is we'll add another facility up here, and that'll keep us going for a little while. Okay, so I think that has got us covered. So before I zone this, I'm going to go ahead and place pipes under the roads. Okay, and I think we have proper coverage there, so I'll go through and start zoning. All right, I think that's looking pretty good. Let's speed it up and see how things progress here. Okay, so not as much development here as I thought we were gonna have, but that's fine, because I think we need the additional capacity, especially if we're gonna create another industry over here, which that is the other thing I wanted to get started. And wow, look at all the freight traffic that we already have over here. Fantastic. Yeah, look at that. Kind of a roller coaster, but not terrible. Oh, sorry about that. So let's take a look at the highway. I have to, I think, adjust some of the vehicular speeds through here. So that's set to 80. 80 kilometers an hour. That's not good. So maybe we'll bring that down to 50. I think is reasonable for the bridge. 40, yeah, that's fine. Let's take a look at our curve down here, make sure that doesn't seem unsafe. Yeah, 40 is fine. Okay, all right, so that was crazy with the 80. I couldn't believe that. Ore, that's our next industry. So let's go in, take a look. We first need our ore industry main building. Oh, and we also need to paint our district. Let's do that first. So we'll go in, paint a industry area. So I think I'm going to place the ore industry main building over here on the edge. I think that'll be good. And that automatically unlocks level 1. And so we get small ore mine, sand storage, ore grinding mill, and we're gonna start placing those assets right now. So looking at this, we do have some terrain issues, so I might bring a road up like this around to make better usage of some of the land that is here. And I think what I might do is create a 4-way intersection here, and then we'll have a road go underneath here, underneath this bridge. I wonder if it can go under this portion. It can. And I like that because I think this might be a good spot in the future for a cargo terminal. So we'll go with that and see if we can do that in the future. So let's tie this up. Looking good. And then we'll snake this back around here. And this is going to be kind of ugly with the terrain, but we'll come back later, again, when we have the network multi-tool and do some fixes with that. I really am missing having that, but that's okay. So we'll have a nice connection there. Doesn't look too terrible. I know, I mean, looking at it, I can tell there's some intense grades through there, but it's not awful. Let's take a look at some of the ore industry production sites. So we have small ore mine. I'm thinking of, can I play? See, my idea here of placing this up here is gonna have some crazy grading. So maybe what I'll do is try to pre-grade. Let's bump up our taxes a little bit. I guess since I accidentally opened this panel, we'll get a little bit more money. Leave commercial down and industrial at 11. And residential at 11. Okay, so I'm gonna grade through here so this will be a little bit more realistic. Okay, so it's not perfect, not the best with that, but I think it'll do the trick though. So let's go place a few small ore mines up here. All right, I was feeling ambitious, so I went for went for 5. And let's go down here to the ore grinding mill, and we'll place this one down here. And maybe what I'll do is I'll create a spur road off this way. And make this a straight connection. I might do that here. You don't generally want to place something like right at the end of a curve. You want to have some bit of straight section of roadway before you place an intersecting road. So let's go back in and we'll place this along here. Maybe we'll do 2. See how that works out. And then speed's bumped up already. Multiple problems. Okay. And duh, of course, I forgot to extend the electrical over here. And it looks like we might be having some power issues as well. And for the time being, actually, to have this jump, I'm gonna place a fire station because I know it's needed over in this area. So we'll place that right there. And then for our water, we'll connect this back up over there. Okay, let's take a look at our electrical, and we are not doing well with electricity. So let's, in the meantime, bump this up until we get a bit more money and see if that helps us out. Okay, we're not having any major issues with electricity now in town. We're barely scraping by, and we're a little bit lost for money here. So I wonder if things will stabilize a little bit. So maybe what I'll do is go back into the budget panel and let's cut back on water a little bit and sewage. Although I think we were also having some issues with that, but for the time being, let's see if that helps our budget out. And I'm gonna go ahead and bump this up to 12 as well for all these. Okay. All right, so we're back in the green, and I think that's looking pretty good. So right now we only have one Ecoland wastewater treatment facility. Let's see how much one of those bad boys costs. 4,000? Yeah, let's do it. Let's place it over here. And we'll put that next to there. Actually, I might move this over here. And that looks pretty awful. What I might do is actually relocate the building to there. And we did use some eminent domain on our industry, but we'll make up for that with the jobs we just created in the ore industry over there. So I'm going to connect this up and bring down the budget that we cranked up for the, nope, not the electricity, and then the water. Okay. All right, and I'm gonna let this run for a minute and decide about power, and then after that we'll end the episode there, I think. Okay, so we have just over 20 grand right now. So what I want to do is move towards being more green in this county. Eventually, I want to decommission the coal fire power plant, get rid of that, and probably build a dam in one of these very obvious locations. I mean, the water flow here would be great. You could have a very huge dam, and it probably wouldn't cost that much and generate a lot of electricity. And I've played this map before, and I've put one here, and I know it works well, but I don't really want to put one there. It just doesn't seem, honestly, this stream doesn't seem natural to me. So I'm just gonna kind of avoid it. Yeah. So, but I think what I'm gonna do, I was taking a look at this area, and it looks like we're gonna have some decent production for wind energy, and the noise is not gonna really bother anybody through here, and it will connect nicely up with our grid. And I might wait till I can place one more Okay, and that's looking pretty good. And this is like a great spot for wind energy. It's on top of a hill. It's by an industry. It's not going to cause a lot of issues, and it's going to do great things for our power. We have plenty of power right now. Only 55 megawatts in terms of demand, and then we have 100 megawatts right now. So that's looking pretty good. So I think I can cut this back down, or for sure I can cut this back down. And we'll get that around 100. And I think this is looking pretty good for so far. So this industry is on the cusp of, it's not on the cusp. It's got a ways to go before level 2, and we'll revisit that in the next episode, and we'll see if we can fix some of the problems here in terms of the profit. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this one. And so we've accomplished a lot in this. We built an interchange, we created a new industry, we expanded our town over here, and we created this new highway, or upgraded this road and created a new highway connection over here. So I think in the next episode, what I'm going to do is maybe focus a little bit on the ore industry, get that up to level 2 or 3, and start on a small mountain town. That's something I really want to do. So I'm thinking either over here, or the other spot I was considering is over here. And that might be pretty tricky to get to. So I'm going to think about that. But in the meantime, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment down below and comment on what your favorite part of the build is so far. If you have any feedback or suggestions, also leave that down below. Or if you're also having mod issues like I am, definitely we can commiserate over that. But yeah, also like and subscribe, and I'll be back with a new episode soon. All right, take care.